Alright, we left off in the last video. We got our fragments and got them navigating really well. Still kind of a shell app. Like I say, the only thing we have in our fragments right now is just what the page is going to be. So you come down here to your buttons. You got login. You got register. So if you click register, you go to register. Account info, and login. Alright, so we want to do more, like a couple things. We're going to do, I want to cover a couple things here first. One is this switch case. If you remember, when we first created the app, it basically gave us a shell app. It already worked. So everything we already know, these case statements work. So it doesn't really make any sense to change anything. If you want to do something else with the button, then just do it in here. You got to do it between the return true and the case statement. Alright. Now one thing we want to do is, like say, you want to clean it up. You want it all nice and neat, so if anybody else has to do your code or you come back to it, you know, everything's nice and neat. So one of the first things is this navigation. We do home, dashboard, and notifications. We don't want that. We want login now, but you got to change it in a couple places. We want register, and you see how it's turning red on you. So register, and then the last one is account info. Okay, it's turning red because none of those are declared anywhere else. So if we go over here, remember those were in the navigation because this is the menu. So you go over to navigation, and here's where you're going to change it. You got the IDs here, so we're going to change that to login, register, and account info. And if you go back into your main activity, they should all be back to normal color. They're not red anymore. Alright, and you should always, anytime you make changes, you should always test it. So let's go test it just to make sure. So we'll pull up our phone. Now you'll hear me say it over and over again. If you're going to do something with anything, it's got to have an ID, because you've got to be able to call it, and you can't call it if you can't identify it, because you're going to have all kinds of buttons. You're going to have text views that you're going to do things with, whether it's calling information from it or putting information into it. So very important. And like I said, we'll get on it, and we'll keep beating a dead horse over and over. Repetition, that's, they say, best way to learn. If you just keep doing it over and over and over again. Alright, so we're in here. I'm just making sure that this works. So if I hit the register button, register, account info, login. Alright, so that still works. Alright, the other thing I want to talk about here real quick is scope. Now scope is, you've got to, like up here we declared a variable, okay? We need that variable to be available in here in this little function as well as in this function. Now if we take that variable, you're going to see things turn red here in just a minute. And we cut it. First of all, we cut it. Now they're both red. But what we're going to do is we're going to put it in here above the switch. So this would work, but that wouldn't work. So scope is very important, and it doesn't make sense if you got to call it more than one place. You don't want to like put another one down here if it's in the same class or the same activity or the same fragment. So you want to be able to get maximum be able to use the variable, and you're going to see it because when we get into the fragments especially, we're going to have declare a lot of variables up in the top part. Let's put that back. So we just Control Z a couple times. Control Z undoes what you've already done. And we got it back, and you see everything's back to normal. So fragment is something, or not fragment, but scope is something you got to watch out for. If you get errors, some of it, I shouldn't say a lot of it, some of it's going to be scope, some of it's going to be you forgot to put a semicolon at the end of your line, or you got too many or not enough parentheses or brackets, curly brackets. So continuing on with our cosmetics. Once again, we got a house, which has nothing to do with the login really, maybe. This thing has nothing to do with register, and this thing doesn't really have anything to do with account info. So we want to go in and we want to change the pictures. Well, first thing we have to do is we have to find the pictures that we want. Now, I've already got some pictures in mind. Of course, this is something that you're going to have to figure out when you're making your app. And of course, whatever your navigation bars or buttons are going to be. But like just the ones that we have, if you right click on drawable, because that's where you're going to store your pictures at, and we're going to create a new vector asset. And then of course you come to this screen, Asset Studio, click on the icon, right there's icon, click on that button. It's going to bring you into another screen that has multiple icons. Now for me, I already know what I want. We're going to grab this person for account and this person add for register. So click on this one first. Okay. You can change that name if you want, or you can leave it as is. It doesn't matter. And just leave it the same size, 24 by 24. You can override it if you want. And then you click next, and then over here you click finish. Boom, pops it in your drawable. Go back, add another one, vector asset. We're going back and we're grabbing the person with the plus, the person add. Click on it, click OK, click next, click finish, and then account info. So we'll just grab info, the little info icon for the last one. So we just go to new vector asset, click on the icon, and like I say, you can type stuff in here. You can even import your own if you want, but we're just going to grab this one for now. And click next and finish. Alright, so the ones that we don't need dashboard, so right click on it, go down to, where is it, delete, which is in here somewhere, here we go, delete, and just click yeah, and delete anyways. It's saying that it's listed, because it is listed, it's still listed in your menu, your navigation XML down here. So we don't need the home, so we're going to delete that. Okay, delete anyway, because we're going to fix it here in a second. And then notifications, so we're going to delete, and this will keep your code clean. So you should, you don't want to leave all them pictures in there, because then it uploads into your video and you're not using them anyway, so it's like all it does is add room or take up more space. So you want to keep your stuff nice and neat. Okay, and what do we call it? Okay, we got, for this one we got person, or no, yeah, person. So we just change that to person, and that's if I can spell person. Alright, we change this one to person add, I believe it is. And then this one to info. All right, we'll run it. Check it out. Tap that. Like I said, this part here is a little bit more cosmetics. All right, as you can see down here, login, register, and account info. So, and they should work. Click on, yeah, register works, account info works. So we didn't really change anything except the picture, and login works. All right, so I believe, let me take one quick look and make sure that that's all the cosmetics that we need to do. All right, so the app's looking good. We'll go ahead and end this video here, and in the next video we'll pick up and we'll start creating our register fragment, because we're going to want to send data up to the database, and then we'll worry about our login, because you can't log in if you don't have data in the database. So we'll start creating the design of our register fragment in our next video.